Welcome back to Simbright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this class, I'll be showing you how to make these pleated details on a neckline without slash and spread. So right here you can see we have pleatings in front of our neckline, as you can see right there on the thumbnail. I'm zooming my camera for you to see the pleats. It's actually a kissing pleats. You can see them. I have 3 of them. Okay, I have 3 of them, and I'll be sharing with you the technique to making your pleats sit right on your neckline and you still have your desired neckline. So if this is what you want to learn in this class, please stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So in this class, I'll be showing you how to create this pleated neckline. So this pleated neckline we have right there on the thumbnail. I'll be using a yard and a half to create it. Okay, so this is 1 yard and a half, and I've already folded it, placed it on fold. So I placed it on fold, and this is the center line. Okay, so the center line here is on fold. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to create my border line. Okay, I'm creating my border line of 1 inch from here to here, 1 inch. And the next I'm going to do now is to ask myself, how many pleating do I need to make at the center line? So at that center line, I have 3 pleats, and I want these 3 pleats to be folded 3 inches in this way. 3 inches in is a kissing pleat. So if I'm folding 3 inches, 3 inches, I'll be having 6 inches for one. So if I have 2 or 3 now, as I'm working with 3, I'll multiply 6 by 3. That will give me 18. So the whole of my pleating allowance now is going to be 18. But because I have it on fold, I'm going to divide that 18 by 2. So if I divide 18 by 2, I'll be working with 9 inches. So I'll place my tape right here now, and I'm going to make a mark of 9 inches for my pleating allowance. So I'll also come over somewhere here to make my 9 inches for my pleating allowance. So my pleating allowance is 9 inches, and I'm going to also rule a line across it. So this line right now will now become my center front line. So I'm working only on the front part of this. The back of this dress is just a normal cutting. Okay, where we have the pleatings is for the front. So if you are done making this front pleats, you can join it to your normal back bodies. So now I will extend my border line, because we are going to draft the normal neckline. So assuming we are drafting our normal neckline without a pleating, we'll just simply start from this line. But because we have our pleating allowance, we've added it 9 inches times 2, which is 18 inches. So this is my starting line. So now the length of this blouse is by choice. The length of this blouse, it depends on where you want it to get to. So here I'm using 25 inches because it's above the upper hip, and I added 1 inch. So everything I have here is 26 inches for hemming allowance. So now the neckline I'm making use of for this dress, I'm using 4.5 as my width, and I'm using 5 inches as my depth. So I'm going to connect this 4 inches to my 5 inches. So what I usually like to do when it gets to this point, I like to rule a line that will serve as my guideline. Then I will place my curve in them, so I'll be able to get my curve the way I want it. Okay, so I've created my curve right now. So the next thing I want to do now is to measure the shoulder. My shoulder here, I'm working with 16 inches divided by 2. 15 inches divided by 2 will give me 7.5. I'll add half an inch for seaming allowance, which is 8 inches. So I'll go ahead and place my, you have to calculate your chest line. So I'm working with 9 inches as my chest line, and my shoulder drop is 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and drop the shoulder. Then on this chest line, okay, this is my chest line. On this chest line, I'm going to take the measurement of my shoulder, divide by, I'm transferring what I have here. I believe you are seeing what I'm doing. I'm transferring what I have here, which is 8 inches. I'll bring it to the chest line. The 8 inches, I'll bring it to the chest line. So I'll be able to create my armhole. So I place my tape and I'm going to mark from that point to the shoulder drop. I'll get my midline of my armhole, which is 4 inches. I'll go in by 0.75. Then I'll connect. Then I'm going to measure my chest line, that is my bust divided by 4 is 10 inches. You add 1 inch to sew this. Remember, we are doing this right on our fabric, so make sure you add your whole seam allowance to avoid shortage. So I added 1 inch and I'm covering my armhole. So I'm going to take this line straight right now, okay, because this dress is actually a straight dress, and remember we have allowance at the front. So you just go ahead and take everything straight, as you can see. So the next thing we'll do now is to cut off this, and once we cut it off right now, so I'm going to cut through the armhole. Then I'll cut straight because I've added my 1 inch seam allowance already. So I will add 0.5 for my shoulder seam allowance. You can see I stepped up by 0.5. So, but the neckline, I'm not stepping up because that is where I want it to be, so that by the time we sew, we have it a little bit down. Unless you have another neckline in mind, or you want to make it smaller, or you want to make it bigger. So now, remember that we added some inches to the neckline. So I'll just take this neckline straight. I'm taking it straight. This is where we have our pleating allowance. So this pleating allowance, I'm going to cut straight on it. So this is how your neckline is going to look like. Can you see that? This is how it's going to look like. So you make a notch right here. I will start marking out our pleats. So this becomes the center front now, no longer here. This becomes the center front. So I'm going to open up this dress. Can you see how big the neckline is? So by the time you pleat it, it returns back to the neckline. So the measurement of what you have from here to here, which is 9 inches. From the center front, I'll measure it 9 inches. So that will guide us on our pleating. So the pleating, we measure. Alright, so right now we'll start up pleating. So you can see how big I have everything right now. So from here, this line to the center line is the 9 inches. So I try making some marks of my pleats, okay? But I'll show you what I did right here. So from center front, I have 9 inches, which is the pleating allowance. And from this line to our neckline, we have 4.5. So this 4.5 is going to serve as spacing between our pleats, okay? Spacing between our pleats. So we have this 4.5 plus another 4.5 for this other part, which is 9 inches. So our spacing between our pleats, we have 9. We have 2 spacings. Sorry, 3 spacings. So 9 divided by 3 will give us 3. So we'll have 3 inches spacing. So now our pleats is going to be, we are having our pleats at from the center front. So this is my center front now, as you can see, and the pleats we calculated is 6 inches. So half of it is 3. So I'll mark like this, like this. That is the first pleat. So start from the center front and go this way, so you have it evenly distributed. So I'll pick up this. I'm going to secure with my pin. Then you pick up this. So you can see I've pleated the first one. So remember the spacing for our pleat is 3 inches because we have 4.5 here, 4.5 there. So I'll mark the 3 inches spacing before the next pleat. So from here, I'm going to mark out the next pleat at 6 inches. So this is my 6 inches from here to here, and the midline is 3 inches. So note the lines I'm making. So I'm working with this, and this. So I'll pick up this to this. I'll secure with my pin, and I'll pick up this to this, and I'll secure with my pin. So I've already made my pleats right there. Okay, so I'm looking at this pleat is actually very close to the neckline. So let me just do this. Let me just make my spacing at 2 inches. Okay, so I'll have about 1 inch on that side, and my pleating at 6 inches. So I'm working with from here now to here, 6, midpoint here. Okay, so I just reduce my spacing for my pleats, so I'll be able to have a space before the neckline. I believe you understand what I did. Okay, so the next I'm going to make, I'll make a space of 2 inches again, another 2 inches. Then from here I'll mark 6 inches. Then I'll find the midpoint of it at 3 inches. Then I'll pick up this to this. Then I pick up this 3 inches to this. All right, so now we are done, and this is what our neckline looks like. Okay, so we have made the pleats, as you can see. So I'll now go over to the machine now, and I'm going to run my stitch to hold down the pleat. All right, people, so now I'm done stitching it. So you can see my stitches. So I'll just take off my pins, as you can see. So now once you are done with the back piece of this dress, that is the back, you just sew in your back with 0.5 inch. So but because this is a tutorial, I'll just go ahead and use my bias to tape it. Okay, but if you are making a full dress with this, please make the back, join it before you sew the bias. So I'm going to sew my bias right now to cover up the neckline, so you actually see what the neckline looks like. Now you can see what I have after I'm done ironing and running my my bias stitches. Can you see? So we still have our neckline. Can you see? We still have our neckline. So all you need to do is to sew these parts, and you have that pleated detail. Can you see the pleated detail? So you can actually use this pattern for so many things. You can make a gown with it. You can make a top with it. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is, if I have cut my back, I'll just join the back before I run these bias. But for tutorial purpose, I just did this to show you. So we are going to cut the sleeves right now. So I'll show you how to cut that sleeve. So it's time for us to cut the sleeve. So I'll be using 1 yard or half a yard for one of my sleeve. So for the both sleeve, you need 1 yard to cut it. So I'll first of all fold my fabric for my sleeve. So this fabric I'm folding for my sleeve, like I earlier said, you have to take note of what you have on the 3/4 part or wrist, depending on where you want to gather. Okay, so if you are gathering it at the 3/4 this way, that means if I take my 3/4 sleeve, let me say my normal sleeve, I'll have maybe a space of 13. I'll multiply 13 by 2. So what does that mean? It means that what I will have here now, from the beginning of my folding, here I have 14 inches. So let me just work with 14 inches. So you can even make it more. When you fold, you can even take 20 inches. So if you have 20 inches, let me do 20 inches, that is 40. But I think it's going to be too much because we are going to gather this part, and we are working with the fabric we have on the thumbnail is a chiffon fabric. So you know, when you gather a lot, it gives you that feel. So let us just do 15. So once we open, okay, so I have 15. So once we open, we know we are gathering 30 inches. So this is it. I folded 15 inches on fold. So I will also make my border line for my sleeve. So once I make my border line for my sleeve, I'm going to take my sleeve cap. So sleeve cap is always at 4 inches, but I'll make it 4.5. Okay, for this particular sleeve. So you can take 4 inches or 4.5. Then your whatever you measured at that your chest line, after your shoulder drop, when we were drafting, we measured 8 inches. So after shoulder drop, so we will still use that 8 inches. Okay, then I'll add half an inch to it for seaming allowance. So I'm going to get the midpoint of this 8 inches, and it's 4 inches I have. I'll also mark that 4 inches on top. So I've gotten the mid line. So at this midline now, which I got between here and here, I'll do what? Get another midline of it. So I'll fold my tape by 2 to get the midline. This is the midline. So at this midline, I'm going to place my pattern ruler from here to here. Can you see? To this line. Okay. Then I'll bend my ruler. I'll flip it this way and connect to this line. Okay, so that is how to draft your basic sleeve pattern. So I've connected from here now, as you can see, into this line, and I brought it here. Okay, so I'll step up for the back sleeve. I'll step up for the back sleeve at 0.5. Then I'll do what? I'll also place my pattern ruler the same way at 0.5. Then I'll flip my ruler the same way I did for this. From that 0.5 I step up. I'll take it back to this point. So you can see I have 2 lines here. One is for back sleeve, one is for front sleeve. So now here comes this sleeve pattern you have on the thumbnail. I'm going to connect it from here, from this point now. I'm going to connect it all to the way to the hem. That is why we added that 15 inches. So this is how the sleeve you are seeing right there on the thumbnail looks like. So I've cut it with my seam allowance here. I'll first cut the back. Please note that you need to cut that back we made first. Then you place your notch at the center line. So this part, I'll open it up. Here becomes my back sleeve, and this part will be my front sleeve. So because the front sleeve is armhole is deeper, so we need to cut out this so it fits into the armhole appropriately. Can you see? So I take off this for a perfect fit. So here is the sleeve which I'm going to attach to the dress. So assuming I've had my complete dress sewn now. Let me say I'm done sewing my complete dress. I'll just bring this sleeve where I notched and sew it in this way. Can you see? That is how I'm going to sew it in. But then note that this part, I'm going to gather it to the I'm going to gather it the way I want to match up. So I'll just run my gather stitches at this point and sew in the sleeve. Okay, so I believe this class is helpful to you, and I believe you understand what I am talking about. So if you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, share to family and friends, drop your comment on the comment section and your suggestions as well. Thank you for coming. See you in the next one. Bye.